Imagine if the town of Brandon were to vanish, that its 50,000 people suddenly died. That is the size and scope of the fentanyl overdose crisis in the last 9 years of the Carney-Trudeau Liberals. A small, beautiful city like Brandon has vanished from our lives. Since 2016, 50,000 Canadians have died of overdoses to opioids, 9 in 10 of whom have died as a result of fentanyl. More Canadians have died of opioid overdoses in the last 9 years than died fighting for Canada in the Second World War. They are real people. Brothers, sisters, sons, daughters, fathers, mothers, friends, and thousands more are still suffering. Countless of them are in homeless encampments, living in the hell of addiction and homelessness. It wasn't like this before Liberals radically liberalized drugs. We know what they did. They passed C5 to allow traffickers to serve their sentences in their living rooms. They eliminated mandatory prison time. They opened up our ports and our borders. 99% of the shipping containers that enter our country, 99% of those shipping containers come in without any inspection at all after 9 years of the Carney-Trudeau Liberals. Super labs in Canada synthesize using precursor chemical ingredients that come into Canada from China and Mexico through our open border policy. But it's not happening. This is something that looks like an episode of Breaking Bad. But this is not happening in New Mexico in a TV drama. It is happening here in Canada, real life, right now. In November of 2024, police dismantled what they described as the largest, most sophisticated illicit drug super lab in the country in Falkland, British Columbia. One of the accused was out of jail after earlier convictions. Police said they seized 54 kilograms of fentanyl. Now, that might not seem like a lot until you realize that it just takes 2 milligrams to kill a human being. That means there was enough finished fentanyl to kill 27 million people. Police found enough ingredients to make enough fentanyl to kill 95 million people. That's twice the population of Canada and Mexico through our open border policy. But it's not happening. This is something that looks like an episode of Breaking Bad. But this is not happening in New Mexico in a TV drama. It is happening here in Canada, real life, right now. In November of 2024, police dismantled what they described as the largest, most sophisticated illicit drug super lab in the country in Falkland, British Columbia. One of the accused was out of jail after earlier convictions. Police said they seized 54 kilograms of fentanyl. Now, that might not seem like a lot until you realize that it just takes 2 milligrams to kill a human being. That means there was enough finished fentanyl to kill 27 million people. Police found enough ingredients to make enough fentanyl to kill 95 million people. That's twice the population of Canada. Police also found 390 kilograms of methamphetamine, small explosives, ammunition, silencers, high-capacity magazines, body armor, $500,000 in cash, and 89 firearms, many of which were, quote, loaded and ready to be used. Days earlier, police discovered a super lab in Langley, BC, that they say was capable of producing multiple kilograms of fentanyl on a weekly basis. A Government of Canada report confirmed, and I quote, seizures of Canada-sourced fentanyl in places like the U.S. and Australia suggest that the domestic production of fentanyl is likely exceeding the domestic demand and that Canada is now a source and transit country for fentanyl to some markets. The number of seizures of fentanyl at the Canada-U.S. border more than tripled between 2023 and 2024, rising from 239,000 doses to 839 doses. How did this happen? Well, the Carney-Trudeau Liberals happened. They legalized fentanyl possession here in British Columbia in partnership with the local radical NDP BC government. They passed C5, which eliminated mandatory jail time and brought in house arrest, allowing fentanyl dealers to do their time in their living room while watching Netflix or playing Grand Theft Auto. The Falkland Super Lab that police discovered had ties to transnational criminal networks that span Mexico all the way to China. They are killing our people and many more in other countries, which is now endangering the trade with our closest ally. President Trump has threatened to tariff Canada because of what he says is lethal drug flows. But whether or not we agree with him should not matter. It should not take a foreign leader to get the Liberals to wake up to the drug crisis that they have caused here at home. It should have been enough that we lost 50,000 of our people. We should crack down on drugs, not to please President Trump, but to ensure that not one more mother has to bury her face in her hands on learning that her son died of an overdose in a back alley somewhere. We must stop drugs to save our people and put Canada first. It starts with locking up mass traffickers and manufacturers of this poison with penalties that fit the crime. But what is that crime? Let's call fentanyl trafficking what it is. Mass murder. Selling 40 milligrams of this poison is enough to kill 20 people. It's like spraying bullets into a crowd. You might not know who you're killing, but it's certain someone will die. That's why I'm denouncing today, as part of my Canada First plan, that common sense Conservatives will bring mandatory prison sentences. There will be life sentences for anyone caught trafficking, producing, or exporting over 40 milligrams of fentanyl. 40 milligrams is enough to kill 20 people. Anyone who is involved in trafficking that amount of fentanyl will get a life sentence. We will lock them up and we will throw away the key. And 15 years for traffickers caught with between 20 milligrams and 40 milligrams will be the new mandatory sentence. The people we will lock away are not non-violent addicts. They are the victims. We will come to the rescue of victims and addicts. We will provide life-saving treatment. My message to anyone struggling with addiction today is have hope, hang on, help is on the way. My government will provide residential treatment. They will take people off the streets, provide them with detox, recovery, counseling, group therapy, sweat lodges for First Nations victims, and help them get into housing, a job, and back to their families. We will bring our loved ones home drug-free. Nor are we talking about the small-time dealer on a street corner, though he too will be punished. Rather, my law will go after the fentanyl kingpins who kill thousands of people each year. We will treat them like the mass murderers they are. We will bring home the country we knew and love. After 9 years of the Carney-Trudeau Liberals, everything is broken. Housing costs have doubled. Food bank use has doubled. Gun crime has doubled. The national debt has doubled. All of this because Justin Trudeau was implementing the radical policies of carbon tax Carney. These policies have destroyed our working class, and now he threatens an even bigger carbon tax after a brief election pause, a tax that will drive hundreds of billions of dollars out of our country and continue the rising cost of living that the Carney Liberals have imposed over the last 9 years. The good news is, life was not like this before the Carney-Trudeau Liberals, and it won't be like this after they're gone. We're going to bring home the country we knew and loved. We're going to axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. Most of all, we are going to put our country first. This will be a country where hard work pays off, where anyone from anywhere can do anything. That was the Canadian promise, and my purpose is to bring it home. Let's make this a country where anybody who works hard gets a powerful paycheck and pension that buys affordable food, gas, and homes in safe neighborhoods wrapped around the protective arms of strong borders under a proud flag for a united country, Canada.